What's up? I'm Sean Longevity with the New Old Heads podcast, and this is episode 492. This week we talked about Lupe Fiasco not liking Kendrick Lamar from the perspective of being a great lyricist. We talked about Twista and his tax issues, and if there's ways that artists can not run into similar issues as they grow in their own careers. We talked about Lauryn Hill's icon status, and for our members, we did a long review of all the CHREECE 2026 Last Chance submissions. Support the show and get the uncut 2-hour episode without ads by becoming a $5 Patreon or YouTube member. Please make sure you click that bell and turn on notifications, and we will see you in the comments.
Check 1 2. You know what it is. Episode number 492 of the New Old Heads podcast. My name is Jay Moore, and I got my folks in the building with me. Going to introduce them real quick. DJ J Diff, how you doing, sir?
Salutations. I am well. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to hear that. Right next to him is my brother to the night.
Greetings.
Doing all right, man?
Swell.
Okay. And then right next to me is Longevity. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. You know, staying in places that are air conditioning.
Yeah, it's hot, man.
Yeah, anybody in the Midwest knows exactly what time it is.
We've talked about this in the past, but Lupe Fiasco is not impressed with Kendrick Lamar lyrically. Lupe has said multiple times that he wouldn't even put him in the top 100 or whatever, right?
Damn. That's hate.
So, well, maybe.
Big hate.
Again, we talked about this like a year ago, but this kind of resurfaced. And I don't know if this had anything to do with the fact that King Green, shouts to the Rap Latte guys, he made a video about breaking down what lyricism actually is from an MC's perspective. And all of a sudden this started popping up again. So I don't know if there's anything related to that, but there's a video here. If you saw, there's a guy named Quality who interviewed Lupe because apparently Lupe was in his comments when he was talking about some stuff. And they brought him together and they were talking about it. So this is just a small clip of it.
Lupe got on stream with a YouTube personality named Quality. His channel is Quality Reacts. Looks like they went on live for about 3 hours. The conversation turned to Lupe Fiasco and Kendrick Lamar, and Lupe Fiasco doubling down on the claim that he has been making for years, that he believes that he's a better rapper than Kendrick Lamar. Now, during his talk with Koala, Lupe did say that he thinks there's hundreds of rappers better than Kendrick. But he also said that he believes that Kendrick is a better artist than him. Keyword, better artist than him.
You're going to have to say, I'm talking about just purely battle rapping. I'm not talking about albums. I'm not talking about making songs. I'm not talking about being an artist. All things that I've said all these years. He's a better artist than me. He makes better albums. He has a better team. He has better beat selection. He has better production. Right? He has all of these better things, right? When it comes down to lyricism, when it comes down to these lyrics and putting these bars for bar for bar for bar, no. Everything else, for sure.
With that, if we separate technical rapping, rhyme schemes, wordplay from overall artistry, album structure, sonic cohesion, does hip-hop history ultimately value the master artist over the master lyricist?
I think there is value to both, but when I think about somebody who's just a master lyricist, somebody where if you just put them in a room and it's time to rap and you got to make a show out of rapping, or there has to be a spectacle of just lyrics and the ability to rap, maybe no music, no dancers, no lights, no nothing, then that to me is KRS-One. But
I mean, that's Lupe.
I mean, and honestly, I would draw parallels between them.
Right.
But if you're talking, I think he was honest and saying, hey, every other category, he's gotten me beat, and I think that's very accurate. Every other category, he does have Lupe beat.
Yeah.
But as far as like somebody where I'm consistently or someone having to rewind, or someone will say, did you hear this? Did you see how he tied this to this? Or he used this as the thread to tie the first verse to the third. Nobody does that better than Lupe Fiasco.
Yeah, he's an amazing lyricist.
Like I said, I don't know if like when he put out that album and he's rapping about dinosaurs, I don't know if I would even be engaged if anybody else did that. But I listened to that Lupe Fiasco project where he was rapping about dinosaurs.
Yeah, he raps from the point of view of like a professor, but like Jay said, if truth be told, if lyrics sold truthfully, lyrically, I'd be Talib Kweli. This is Jay speaking from his point of view. being a gifted artist that can rap, sell records, have production, all of the things that Lupe pretty much brought up in his conversation there. So I think both of them are important to be a lyricist and to be a good all around artist. But in order to know how to tap into being a good all around artist, you have to have some kind of lyricism about you as well. I would think it's not a focus on the lyricism, so to speak, but there are artists that have their own pocket or own lane that can thrive in that lyricist lounge type of, you know what I'm saying, situation or songs that they're making, because there is a crowd or a fan base for them. But if your sole purpose is to be more popular and to be heard by more people, then 9 times out of 10 you're gonna pick the overall artist pocket versus the lyricist pocket if you know how to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And to me, man, Lupe is very good. He's just too damn good. You know what I mean? Like, that project that he had where he was rapping about like slaves in the ocean or whatever. Like it was a great song. That project was good, but at the same time, I'm like, how many times am I gonna listen to this out? You know what I mean? I'm never gonna come back to this. I don't have an interest in coming back to listen to this. He said it was his words, dumb it down, and he never did it. You know what I mean? Like he came back and he was just hitting people over the head, just keep going over people's head. And that was the problem. I think that's the difference between why Lupe didn't really go to the way he was supposed to, because he never really dumbed his music down. He was always going over most of his consumers' head.
So does it, again, to the question though, does hip hop history ultimately value the master artist over the master lyricist?
Yes.
That kind of says yes, right?
And the crazy thing about this particular conversation is both of them are omega level threats, just to get into some nerd shit, as far as what I consider to be lyricists.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, do I think there's an edge for Lupe? But it's not at this wide chasm, in my opinion.
I think it is.
But I don't know. But I think part of it is because Kendrick doesn't, you know, he still is like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. It's not like, okay, I'm going to bar you up and have you, you know, sitting with your thesaurus to try to figure out what I said so you could perhaps use it as a thesis.
So he has, so with that, the difference here, I think, is their approach, right? Lupe is very much, no, I'm going to give you this masterful piece to where, like, I'm going to make you think even if you don't want to. Sometimes I feel like Kendrick intentionally keeps it simple for the general artist in general. Like, I think he's really good at understanding what the line is to where, like, I can be simple with complex ideas. Whereas Lupe is kind of doing both. Now, I don't necessarily agree that Lupe doesn't have the type of work and material that Kendrick has. I think Lupe's first 2 albums are right there.
That's it.
But then he shot himself in the foot.
Yeah, lasers.
Maybe, but at the same time, it doesn't.
Label.
But at the same time, it doesn't mean, like, Lupe's quality of work is still immensely high on everything he's done. But his first 2 albums, I would say he's a masterful artist as well as a masterful lyricist. You know, even the record where he rapped kind of the same verse twice on it, you know, with 2 different perspectives on it. You know, like, that was his way to kind of like simplify it in a way, you know. And so I feel like he's, out of all the super duper Lupe lyrical artists and spawns of his and things of that nature that exist, I feel like he does a pretty good job in general of balancing that line for how crazy he is with how complex he is.
I think he was better early on in his career. Even when you think about his ascension, his first song that the masses heard him on was Kanye West.
Touch the Sky.
Touch the Sky. Yeah.
That's the first time people heard him, and that created a buzz amongst what he was already making online. And then to follow that up with
the Cool.
Food and Liquor. And then the Cool, he was on his way. And then whatever happened between him and his label and even the single that he dropped for Lasers was fire, but to me it didn't match the overall vibe I think I was looking for.
It wasn't even on the
Lupe.
album.
It wasn't. I don't even remember.
Nah, I'm Beaming wasn't on the album.
Yeah, so I think that album is what kind of shot himself in the foot as far as continuing his ascension, and he kind of blamed it on people pirating. I don't know if y'all seen that.
Well, remember, Food and Liquor was so. I had Food and Liquor for months.
Yeah, but he's saying to say that though, a lot of artists were pirated during that time. So he was in a show pretty much blaming people stealing his album.
I don't actually disagree with that though. I feel like that probably had a big, because he was such a unique look. When I first got hip to Lupe, like he was big on mixtape. He had a lot of mixtapes too. And when I first got hip to him, I was downloading his mixtapes, but then I also was like, oh, he's got an album too. You know, it's like, okay, let me check that out. So I've already so it was like he was in this weird like pocket of like when he emerged that like, yeah, it's just kind of
all three of those albums.
It's kind of a unique Lupe thing in a way, but I don't disagree with him.
Not as a whole, but to say that your career fell off based off of that when you gave us Lasers.
Well, I mean, again, we know the history of Lasers, right? So
I mean, he gave us good projects after that as well, but it just nothing ever got to the level of those first two.
Sure,
you know. So everybody
momentum.
Yeah, everybody was looking for something comparable to those first two projects, man. And unfortunately, he just never gave us anything of that quality again. And I can't say blame it on production, because hell, I don't think he was working on those other projects. I don't think it was anybody different aside from like Pharrell. I don't remember him. Only time I remember him working with Pharrell was on I'm Beaming.
Yeah,
those albums had a good balance of education, bops, and mainstream appeal.
He's also just one of them artists that he came out of the gate so hot.
Yeah, people forget, or maybe they don't, and they just don't think about it when they talk about Lupe. He had a tremendous amount of commercial success for that era.
Yeah,
you know, he had songs that were played a lot.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
You know, I mean, even songs like "Dumb It Down" had videos. You know, he was able,
Save Me.
Yeah, Hip Hop Saved Me, Paris, Tokyo, Superstar. Like
Kick
he
Bush.
had records. You know, that played on TV and on the radio and wherever you were, you heard on a pretty regular
still get
basis.
Played out right now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I program a lot of Lupe just into the place in my restaurant, you know, just because, hey, I need to hear it. Those sometimes I throw a few in for me. And Lupe is a part of that wave.
Yeah, I think when just kind of we can move on to the second question, but I think, do we value the specific trait of being one of the greatest skilled MCs and lyricists in that particular? Does hip hop, from any perspective, put that above?
No, because the crowd has changed. So the people that have their ears on hip hop aren't listening for the exact same things that people originally were. So you have people that have welcomed hip hop to their ears that never listened to lyricism. Like their introduction to hip hop might have been a poppy hip hop song, and they never felt the need to go back and listen to how did it evolve this way. It's one of the same arguments people have about when you talk about Drake and Kendrick. A lot of the people that don't like Kendrick, like we're talking about how Lupe is more lyrically inclined than a Kendrick is, and Kendrick is still lyrical. And people say they don't want to hear that. They would rather hear what Drake is doing, you know? So I feel like when it comes to the masses and the people that listen to hip hop over the years, it kind of shifted.
But again, I guess what I'm saying is like hip hop is different from that person.
I think ultimately, man, hip hop is a what have you done for me lately business. You know what I mean? And the fans are fickle. So if you're not coming with it, like 3000 said, my favorite group ain't coming with it. You know what I mean? So let's on to the next one.
That's fair.
So I think, and if you not coming with it, the hip hop will forget about you.
Yep.
I think which one is valued more? I think you guys both alluded to it. It's who you ask and when you ask them. You know, I mean, I brought up KRS-One as somebody who's valued as a straight up lyricist,
Sure.
and as somebody who can move crowds with just his voice and maybe nothing else, but then there are people who have a supreme value for, say, Method Man and Redman, because they're able to perform hit songs and perform them in a way, or Busta Rhymes, if we're going to compare, a single artist to another a solo artist. I mean, those are both solo artists, but you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's a situation to where sometimes they just mean different things to different people depending on the moment they're in.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of hard way to say which one we value more. And look, I mean, I'm not just saying this because you're here. There's a different value we have for someone like Hammer, who just put on such a great show and can still perform at a level that's probably well beyond his age.
Mm-hmm.
And, for all the flack he caught back in the day, we have a value on his ability to entertain us.
Mm-hmm. It was entertaining. He was going to put on the show.
All right. The second question, which is the one that a lot of people are talking about here, is he's been Lupe Fiasco has been publicly criticizing Kendrick for a while now. Byron, you kind of simplified this question earlier, and I think it's good in our pre-show, but why does Lupe even feel the need to address this to the extent that he has?
I don't know why, man. I really don't. I question it every day, man, because I don't question it every day, but
it's like, damn, you spend a lot of time with this, don't you?
Every time you see it pop up.
Every time I see it, I'm like, man, why is this man talking about him? Because Kendrick really is not. He's not thinking about you. You know what I mean? Yeah. But ultimately, it was brought to my attention that it was probably because of the control verse.
Mm.
And to me, if that is the reason, he never mentioned Lupe. You know what I mean? Like he only talked about his peers, and he was saying he was coming for all of his peers' fans because he wanted to be the one. And then everybody took offense to him. Everybody from the East Coast pretty much took offense to him saying that he was the king of New York.
Yeah.
And he got 1 million diss records from old niggas, young niggas, just niggas.
Dog. No. Made me think about the skit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what this man's issue is with him, especially when he has not given you any type of response. I think this does give Lupe some type of shine every time he mentions him, and maybe that's the reason he's doing it, to be salacious. But hell, I don't know what this man's issue is with Kendrick, man. Just because if I wanted to say that it was hate until I just listened to what he said, that clip, you know what I mean? It's like, because he did give him his props.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't understand what is the reason for him to be on his chest to say I'm better than him.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever been like super malicious when he says it. It's just weird that he says it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the same breath, he'll say somebody like Logic is better than Kendrick.
Whoa.
Or somebody
Which
like...
we know Logic Xeroxed his style,
you know
off
what I'm
of
saying?
Kendrick, so I mean...
He Xeroxed his style off everybody.
Everything. Yeah. He's a mimic at the end of the day. But then you like or speak highly of Drake in these same conversations. You say there's 100 artists better than Kendrick. Yeah, I'm sure there are.
Well, lyricists, right?
Lyricists. But I mean... the way that he puts things together, he wouldn't be in the position that he's in if he wasn't good at doing exactly what he does.
Do you not think that Drake puts words better together when he raps better than Kendrick?
No. I mean, I think Drake is a pretty good rapper.
Yeah, I think he can put words together really nicely.
I just don't think he's on a Kendrick level as far as being able to put the words together. But like, if we're talking about like comparison, I mean, there's always somebody better than somebody that didn't quite make it. There's players out here that can go play on any court in the city that are better than people that play in NBA, but they weren't able to, you know what I'm saying, control their destiny the same way that somebody went and put in work and made it to the NBA. So, I mean, when you have those conversations, if you go to a battle league, he brought up battling.
Mm-hmm.
That's a totally different ball game. You're not looking for albums from battle rappers.
But again, he's talking about lyricism, right?
He's
not talking about albums.
But I mean, he's talking about lyricism. I'm going to look at a battle rap based off of them going at each other lyrically.
Hey,
that's why I can't compare it to an artist that is considered lyrical.
Sure, Loaded Lux is a great battle rapper.
Yeah.
Great rapper, but he doesn't have a ton of great like album material.
No.
You know?
And I can't say that Lupe is a better battle rapper than Kendrick after what I've heard from Kendrick, because I've actually heard him battle tested recently.
Well,
In
there's
recent
battle
memory.
rap and then there's beef raps, right?
It's off the
It's-
top of the
it's-
head type battle rap. Or
Like that
I mean,
English.
that'd be
I
written
don't-
verses.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't believe that stuff is off the
Yeah.
top of the head, but
yeah, it's prepared.
exactly.
Do you think part of it is when we talked about Lupe and his content, and you know he probably saw a ceiling on his content, and then he looked at Kendrick and his content and was like, well, wait a minute, like that was supposed to be me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's I don't think there's jealousy involved, but I think there is a part of it was like, well, wait a minute, why when I was trying to give the people, you know, some medicine inside the candy, you know, I stopped at you know, gold or 750,000.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, this guy is selling millions of records, winning all the Grammys, you know, getting all the accolades. Where was that for me?
He also was beyond a good machine.
Yeah, and it happened.
Atlantic was a machine.
It happened at the right time. Kendrick came at the right time.
He did.
You know what I mean? And he gave the right message at the right time, and that's what catapulted him to.
But it's also Dr. Dre's connection.
Yeah.
And he was
Yeah.
good at what he did, because I mean, we've seen Dr. Dre connections that didn't pan out because they didn't capitalize on the situation. But
He had a great team.
Kendrick was regarded as somebody people were looking for before the situation with Dr. Dre.
This is true.
The other part of this discourse, I saw music critics that think they are on the same playing field as musicians when it comes to critiquing this stuff, which is a conversation that we're seeing kind of as well around the quality person. Well, Open Mike Eagle talks about it, so let me just pull this up and then we'll go from there.
Kendrick Lamar don't have a
What's
problem
the
with
problem?
you, right?
You're not Kendrick Lamar. What's the
Why
problem?
is his name in your mouth? I can't do the same for you. That's what
I
I
ain't
want to know.
mentioned.
I remember, and I said this a long time ago, I'd gotten involved in some rap discourse that was happening on Twitter. Fonte texted me like, yo, we can't talk about what we do with people that don't do it. Not only are there insights and experiences that you have within the music business that is hard to explain in casual conversation or on the internet, most of the people who are engaging in these sorts of conversations, they don't feel like they need proof of anything in a lot of senses. Like they feel very empowered to be very opinionated with no facts. Does this guy think he has more credibility than Lupe? Because I think that's crazy. And if that's true, then that informs this feeling that I have sometimes when I'm watching people and some of the things that they say. Like it sounds like they believe that. It sounds like they believe sitting at home, watching everything, consuming everything for a long time. I guess this guy's done a couple battles. It's almost like he's saying that the fact that there are people there to show up and listen to his opinion means he has infinite credibility. From where I sit, I have a lot of respect for rappers that have really gone through that major label process and tried to maintain any sort of integrity.
So there's a lot there, but the thing that initially stuck out with me was that we can't talk about what we do with people that don't do it. Fonte's line or message to him. So in this era, dominated by streamers, internet personalities, even us, right? Have we lost the plot if a YouTuber feels he knows more than the artist?
No, people have fans, man. You know what I mean? And I think ultimately what it is fans have access to these artists now. What I saw between Koala and Lupe was a fan talking to an artist.
Sure.
So it wasn't necessarily the same thing. It was a fan asking questions to an artist. Does it give him credibility to know more than what Lupe does? No. So, but it's I think that's all it was. It was discourse between a fan or a super fan and the artist.
I do think it exists though that some of these streamers and personalities think they have a more know-it-all about what's going on than some of these artists. I think this is a unique situation. Lupe has been hopping in a lot of streamers and people online's discourse
Sure.
about certain situations about what's going on. And I think they made a very good point. If you're not involved with it, how can you really critique it like that? And that actually made me kind of fall back a little bit. But I don't see anything wrong with what people have to say because it creates a conversation.
Sure.
And I think that's what Lupe is actually looking for, because he wants to debate about why he thinks his point is more accurate than somebody that's never been through any of this. So, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with each other. You can kind of agree with it and you can kind of not, and I can see it from both angles.
Sure.
I think there's certain points where you just have to, like, if you on the koala dude's side and you listening to a Lupe talk, there's just certain points where you have to shut the hell up and listen to what it is, and you have the wherewithal to know that this is coming from someone that's actually experienced what it is that I'm talking about.
Just because you have access to him does not mean that he's not quite literally one of the greatest to ever do this.
Exactly.
Yeah. The access piece is interesting. I don't know. What do you think, Jay?
Well, I mean, it's when you talk about the access piece, this is the first time really in history that outside of maybe a journalist who's already, working for a magazine or a newspaper, to where people who consider themselves fans because they've been able to build platforms even have access to artists in this way. And I get the whole, hey, we don't talk about what we do with people who don't do what we do, but like there are whole industries that are built upon people being experts about things they've never done. That's basically what ESPN is from 9:00 in the morning until about 3 in the afternoon. The same thing where like Siskel and Ebert never directed or acted in a film, but they were world renowned and very respected film critics. So I think I can have my opinions, and maybe if an artist wants to say why my opinion either needs to be discussed or maybe completely invalid, I think that needs to be something that, we're open to and listening to those conversations as well.
Yeah, because it kind of validates. Yeah, it kind of validates the reason why he wants to have conversations with these people. Because, I mean, a good reporter or somebody that you're having a conversation with that is on a platform that's being viewed is about the discourse in itself. So if he feels like somebody is good enough to ask me certain questions or even debate a point for it to be entertaining, then yeah, I'm gonna have some discourse with you. So I get it. In the same token, I understand why maybe you shouldn't judge certain situations based off of experience. So like I can't, like even me talking about Lupe's Lasers album and knowing that had something to do with the label, I can't speak on it as a whole as far as what happened with that product that was put out.
Right.
I can speak on me feeling like Lupe let one slide because he was trying to get out of a deal and didn't put his all into it.
Sure.
But I don't know the back end part of it, so I can't talk about that.
Yeah. Why the product ended up what it was.
Right.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the conversation. It depends on how nuanced you get. I think, from one perspective, like for what you said, Jay, like I can relate and I can listen to you guys talk about like what it's like to be black, and I can pay attention to it and I can be knowledgeable on it, and I could be pro-black and all these things, but I still don't know what it's like to be black. You know, like I only have my experiences from that perspective. So like, I think what Mike Eagle was kind of talking about too is like, I don't know what his Twitter conversation was really about, but there are nuances there. Like if you've never thrown a show and you're going to like have a conversation with me about throwing a show just because you've attended, we can't have the same conversation.
Yeah, and that goes on a lot.
But there's a lot of stuff like that though. Yeah. When you talk about like, when Lupe's trying to break down like why he's lyricist and all this stuff and the differences and the nuances between it, well, the reason why he can do that is because he is versed in it, because he has taken the time to study and learn this from a completely different perspective and level than somebody who just consumes it and just wants to enjoy it. And I think, there's differences there, and sometimes there's overlap and sometimes it doesn't matter and sometimes it does. And I think it just kind of depends on the conversation. You know what I mean? But
I think this too, this may not necessarily go with this particular question, but I think that's what bothers me a little bit about Lupe going at Kendrick so hard, because there's so many other people that you can talk about that aren't doing it nowhere near as good as Kendrick.
Yeah.
So that's that's the thing that makes me kind of frown my face and
It kind of
look at
feels
him
like
weird.
there's a little bit of. It feels like spite. It may not be spite, but it feels like it.
Yeah.
You know,
You think Kendrick? I'm not Kendrick, but Lupe just doesn't want to be seen as someone who's punching down. If he were to say something about maybe those other artists who aren't.
he's acting like he is punching down a little bit.
You think so?
When it comes to lyricism,
With
he did.
lyricism.
I can
He
see
did
it.
address the art. He's a better artist than I am.
yeah.
Why don't you mention the third person in that equation?
Who's that?
Because
J. Cole?
because I think he'd have a way better argument and conversation with him as opposed to
Maybe it's also because of how like Kendrick is perceived. You know, which is not the same as J. Cole.
I think it's worse over there just because Cole has been the one beating on his chest talking about how great of an MC he is and how much better of an MC he is than everybody as opposed to Kendrick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kendrick, I've heard him say he's the greatest, but
On
not
song.
Yeah, not
When
in
he's
the same
addressing
fashion.
something.
Not
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
same fashion that
Yeah.
Cole has been saying for the past 2 to 3 years.
And he's never walked it back either. So yeah, that would kind of make sense too. It seems like he's always picking with Kendrick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
The second part of this question is having an audience give commentators more respect than the artists, right? So has the internet completely broken how we measure authority in hip hop, where metrics are now mistaken for actual cultural expertise?
to a certain extent, because we talk about in academics,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that would hold his thought process and what he thinks about people at a high regard, that if you were a true fan of hip hop, you wouldn't give him 2 ounces of, you know what I'm saying, paying attention to him at all. So it's like they are looking toward or looking to personalities versus the actual artist, because it validates how they feel not being an actual hip hop fan.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see that in all spaces. I see that in the, like, even the Twitch space. You can see, like, the biggest, there's like 2 big political streamers on Twitch. One is the weirdo dude Asmongold, and the other one is Hassan Piker, and they're on diametrically opposite sides in a way. And the interesting thing is Hassan Piker has always been a live streamer that's been political. Asmongold just did video games. He's a War of Warcraft guy that just kind of merged into that space. And the interesting thing that happened is because of his big fandom and the stuff that he started to grift to start talk about, now he's got a bunch of people that will rock with whatever he says simply because he has people that rock with him. It's like, it's the whole idea of like, you have to get people to like you before people will like you.
And it doesn't have to be
You know?
backed with fact.
Yeah. No,
It's just
like,
opinion.
nobody's going to like our show until everybody likes our show or something like that, you know, or song or whatever, you know.
Yep.
I don't know.
Okay.
Anything else? I mean,
I think
that's about it.
we kind of got it.
We got it. All right. All right. Well, shouts to Lupe.
See you in the
this is-
comments.
Yeah, this ain't hate, Lupe, man. It's just we can feel indifferent and not like you.
No,
You know
even
what I'm
when he
saying?
commented on our stuff before, even though we got some stuff wrong, like he wasn't like crazy in the comments. He just like corrected it. He just, you know, so.
Shout out to him for doing that.
That was how many years ago? A couple?
Nah, it's been like 5 at least.
Yeah, it's been a few, but
5
like
or
here
6.
lately, yeah, he's been jumping in a lot of comments and going back and forth with people. So, and I ain't mad at him because honestly, you're doing some of these streamers and content creators a favor
Hey man, keep
by doing
it.
that. Yeah,
I'll even go spin some of your newer records when you drop them,
yeah, man.
at least once.
I don't even dislike anything that he's ever
I've
really
never
put out.
disliked.
No, I've
Lupe.
never
It's
been
like
like
ever.
that was whack.
No, yeah.
Never.
No, it was just like it. The only critique that I really have is like, well, this isn't the Cool or Food and Liquor, which is
That's
like
it.
impossible
Yeah.
standard. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
it's like the same thing. Like, I think of Below the Heavens for Blue in Exile. Like, it's such an amazing album that everything they drop afterwards, even though it's good, it's just kind of like didn't make me feel how I felt when I first heard it. You know,
Like-
so.
I could draw a lot of comparisons from the Cool and Good Kid, Mad City.
You think?
yeah. And that's another thing when I talk about artists being a rapper's rapper. I definitely feel like Kendrick has taken some pointers from a Lupe Fiasco.
It's almost impossible not to.
Yeah.
I would put it more. I would say more the Cool and Damn, maybe.
Being a
Damn.
conceptual piece.
No, I see the conceptual part of it, but I'm still thinking about like the Cool still had hits on it.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about hits. I'm just talking about the concept, like the song in itself, the coolest. Man, that song, it made me do a lot of self reflection of myself when that song came out.
Yeah.
So like I definitely resonate with a lot of the things that Lupe has said in the same vein that Kendrick did with Good Kid, Mad City. You know what I mean? So
yeah, To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah.
If I think about like conceptual type of situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Both of them. Love both of them. I'm glad with all the other hip hop that's out there that we have those albums and those artists that we can still look to and enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And have conversations. Yeah, and actually have conversations about concepts and ethos and all the things that actually, for lack of a better term, matter.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Especially when being fans of hip hop and being able to recognize both of those artists are very good at what they do and have given us dope albums.
Yep.
That are timeless.
Well, let's stay in Chicago real quick.
Chi-town.
You are now listening or watching the New Old Heads podcast. Our official 1-hour episode is released every Saturday at noon Eastern, where we share our exclusive uncut 2-hour episode to our YouTube members and Patreon members early every Wednesday. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie City and Vinyl, Decademics, and Bringing Down the Band. And most importantly, you. You can support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads, where we embrace the new, respect the old, and remain ahead. Twista and taxes don't mix, apparently. No. So according to documents obtained by Double XL on Monday, June 29th, Twista pleaded guilty and towards not paying taxes from 2019 to 2023, despite making money from multiple sources of income, including shows, streaming royalties, album sales, and music licensing. Question: why does the hip hop industry place such an overwhelming, and maybe this isn't true, shouts to Mike, he put this question together. Why does the hip hop industry place such an overwhelming cultural premium on maintaining the illusion of immense luxury? And how does that aesthetic pressure contribute to these potential financial crises or of, somebody not paying their taxes?
I think it plays into bad business. Bad business, man. You don't have an accountant to really hold you accountable on these situations.
Or he's a bad accountant.
Yeah.
Or you just...
because to
just
me,
negligence.
Because to my knowledge, is like they said, he's been retaining these funds. This money has been coming in over the years for all of these shows, et cetera, et cetera. Why are you not paying your taxes? It's just bad business. I don't know if I could blame it solely on hip hop and the illusion of immense luxury and trying to keep an aesthetic. It's just bad business. I've seen it happen to Fat Joe. I've seen it happen to
Lauryn Hill.
I've seen it happen to Wesley Snipes.
To Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to pay the tax, man.
Yeah, I think it boils down to my whole viewpoint, and it's not a hip hop thing. I think this is just somebody that gets a lot of money and is not managing it correctly. I don't think it has anything to do with trying to create an illusion. It's just a matter of not being on top of your business or just saying you're going to do it later, because it doesn't, like he just said, Wesley Snipes had a situation.
I mean, everybody's had situations.
Yeah, and it's been in all forms of art, though. It's not hip hop. And it's almost like you're painting it as it's something that only hip hop does.
Fair.
Well, because one of the first times I heard about a rapper getting into it with the IRS was Will Smith back in the day. Like, people don't even realize he was in such a bad way with the IRS that he basically, all the money he made from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for the first 3 seasons of that show went to the IRS.
That saved him. That show saved him.
Like, he was basically on the bus, with hit records. And it didn't matter because the IRS was like, yeah, we want all that.
Shouts to Quincy Jones.
Yeah. So it was a thing where, but, in his case, it really was a situation where he was like shutting down Gucci so him and his friends could go shop. It was, now mind you, he's much younger than Twista is now, or when it was, wherever his tax trouble started. But I do think there is this thing in hip hop to keep up with the. I was going to say keep up with the Combses, but we really don't want to do that anymore. So we'll just take it back to the original saying of
Joneses,
keeping up with the Joneses.
Or the Carters.
Or the Carters, keeping up with the Carters. You don't want to be the rapper who shows up in the 5-year-old Benz. You don't want to be the rapper who's, diamonds don't shine right.
It depends.
You don't be Kenny Two Small Chains.
J. Cole don't even wear jewelry.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's
doesn't
never
have to.
put that pressure upon himself to be shine. I don't really think Twista's really done that either.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's this part where you're trying to maintain your life. You don't know the pressures that might be coming along with, making sure your kids are good, your wife are good. You got a crew that still expect you to pay for things when everybody goes out. Big Dog go out to eat. We all going out to eat. Which that's been the downfall.
If you're not smart.
Of a lot, because that's what happened to Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
It happens to football or sports
anybody,
players.
everybody.
Yeah, anybody who gets a
immense amount of money without
the education or the proper guardrails in place for someone to say no, you can't. But I know you made $5 million this year, but you can't buy a $5 million house.
So speaking on guardrails. Should major streaming platforms and or record labels bear any ethical responsibility to provide financial education or maybe even automated tax withholding options for independent legacy artists? So from the perspective, like I run a very boutique independent label, when I get paid from my distributor for my solo works or when the distributor pays anybody else for anything else, or if I get a check from ASCAP or wherever I get it from, right? My publishing admin, or even YouTube, right? They send you a 1099. And if that is a lot of money that you get from that lump chunk of change, if you don't have that understanding of how to manage that great amount of money, you don't know that you have to pay taxes on it.
Yeah, sit some aside.
Is there, I don't know. Should there be any financial pressure or any pressure on the institutes in themselves to withhold or educate on it?
I think it should be an option. But if said artist doesn't want to take that avenue and feels like that they can hold it in their own hands, then that's on them. It also comes with hiring somebody that has, a good education and knows what's going on. Because I've seen people that actually call whoever manages their money, hey, do you think it's okay if I buy this? And they'll be like, your bank account's looking pretty good. You got things invested in this, that, and the third. Yeah, that's not going to hurt you. And I've seen the same conversation, like, no, that's not a good idea. So as long as you're utilizing people that know what they're doing, I think that's where you should go as far as trying to manage yourself and manage your money situations. When you just think it's going to be swept under the rug and disappear, that's a different ballgame.
If you're a 1099 employee, which all these labels, which you are essentially, there's nothing that you can, there's not really much you can do there as far as like withholding people's money. But
because they're definitely going to put it on their taxes.
Yeah.
And they're expecting you to put it on yours as well.
That's just really just financial literacy. And I don't know, maybe at least if these distribution companies have like resources to understand it, I think would be a good basis to some degree, but and maybe just conversations like this where we're saying like, hey, get yourself a manager or get yourself an accountant or find somebody around you that at least understands this that can guide you in that direction.
Jerry Maguire.
I can't I get that it's definitely a service that needs to be offered, but I cannot shoot Twista no bail on this because it was 2019 to 2024 or something like that. You've been making money in the industry for all this time. So
this conversation is not about Twista per se, though. This is more so like should artists in general have that, if Twista only has tax problems for the, a 4-year period,
he's actually doing pretty good.
20 years after, or 20 plus years after he, emerged, that seems like who knows what was going on in those 4 years.
That was the COVID years too.
Well,
that's true.
And Ronald Isley had the same situation.
Went right to the same jail.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also
Aaron Neville.
I think that considering how automated everything is and how technology is just taking over everything in the industry, the same way, but at the same time, I think they could set up an option to where, okay, if you're owed this much money through your streaming, whether it be through music streaming service or even YouTube, you say, hey, could you put 40% of this aside?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we feel like these streaming apparatuses are robbing people as it is.
Right.
They're graping you.
So
They're
do
probably
I,
not that.
Yeah, so do I really want to put any trust in you holding back the right amount of money?
Yeah.
I mean, here's what I do. I have my business. I have multiple savings accounts, and anything that I make, because I'm I do most of my work is 1099. So every time I get a check, I just deposit X amount of money into this specific savings account that I have that's called tax savings. And so I just deposit a little bit of money in there on every single check that I get. So hopefully by the time the tax season rolls around, I have enough money in there to pay my taxes and not have to dip into other funds. And that's probably at the very bare minimum what I think most people should do. And
you're responsible.
Anybody can be responsible.
Yeah.
Like you just need to get
discipline.
Create your thing.
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to people who have never had money, and once they get the money, they're not really interested in the financial literacy because they have the money.
Time to ball out.
Yeah. So like in some of these cases, that's what's going on. Is like, I've never had money. Somebody needs to show me the person to help me manage this. And then sometimes that's too late.
Yeah. To be fair, this isn't like the NFL where there's like a players organization and a league. This is like independent artists out here, and who knows, maybe there can be a union and an organization, just like SAG-AFTRA or something. Who knows? But
Bowert.
Yeah,
one of the good ideas he had.
I think that those things are reasonable. All right, so Miss Lauryn Hill received the Living Legend Icon Award at the BET Awards this year, and it was preceded by an incredible medley.
We put ourselves sometimes as artists. We put ourselves in places.
5 minutes.
Where we have to say things that aren't always
I watched that in real time. It was a long speech.
People will understand later. I fight for y'all. Everybody may not know about it, but I fight for y'all.
When she does show up, she shows up.
And fighting for y'all is me fighting for myself. It's me fighting for my children. It's me fighting for my parents. It's me fighting for my grandparents. It's me fighting for my community. When I made the Miseducation, I was inspired by you. Know that. I was inspired by the beauty. I was inspired by our potential. I knew it was possible. I dreamed it, I saw it, and I had to manifest it through song. Thank you so much, and I'm so glad that you love the music.
No, maybe he just had some extra stuff there.
Right, cool. Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I was like, man.
He dumbed it down, because even where it started wasn't where she started in the actual acceptance, so yeah.
So does Lauryn's retreat from traditional music industry while having one album disqualify her from receiving such an icon award? I mean, obviously not. But, what do you guys think about her receiving this award?
I think she really deserved it.
Yeah? Why is that?
I think she had the one definitive piece of art that has stood the test of time. I mean, they talk about, she only had the one album. Like, she did have the album with the Fugees.
Yep, that's true.
And she did have the Unplugged album, which I couldn't stand, but I know some people who were greatly affected by that piece of art. Like,
that's because they were clamoring for anything from her new.
It wasn't just that. I remember I gave that to my sister because I had a whole bunch of promo CDs and she gave it back. But I have a couple of friends who they talk about that album like it is the Miseducation. Now, mind you, it was about where they were at the time and the things she was, so something about that piece of art really touched a lot of people, even if it was something that I didn't particularly care for.
Sure.
I think Lauryn Hill there's a mysteriousness to her because we don't see her that often. And at one point we really felt like if we did see her, it was a genuine treat. Like, whoa, Lauryn Hill is here. I remember they did this had to be 15, 16 years ago when there was like the Fugees reunion at the BET Awards. But there's been a whole
one more recent than that.
She was
right before a prize situation.
It was when they did the D'Angelo tribute at the Grammys. So we talk about the people who like have a mysterious thing to them. We talked about what is it to be not seen and not heard from. It doesn't work for anybody else really than Lauryn Hill. And maybe at a certain point D'Angelo, because there's the two artists who didn't have these huge bodies of work. We didn't get something from them every 2 to 3 years.
But we did get more from D'Angelo.
And
it was good.
Yeah. I mean, but you're still talking about 3 albums over the course of 25 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then when you talk about Unplugged, The Score, Blunted, and Miseducation,
Blunted don't really count.
No, there was some joints on there.
That
was the introduction.
honestly, if it weren't for Lauryn Hill, we'd have never heard
got the score.
Yeah.
We'd have never got the score.
Yeah, honestly, if it weren't for those remixes that Salam Remy did for the songs on Blunted, we'd have never got the score.
True indeed.
Yeah.
So I think that Lauryn Hill does have a certain level of mystique, but when you saw the performances and the tributes to her, you could see, oh, these are definitely her children who are out here showing love and showing tribute. So, I've seen a lot of discussions online and in real life about like, how are you going to give her this icon, this, that, and third? She deserved it. I'm just going to put it out there. She deserved it. Shout out to her. Hopefully, maybe this inspires her to do some more work, that maybe more collaborations with Nas. Who knows? But Lauryn Hill deserves it.
Can she though?
Can she do it?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying she doesn't have the talent, but I'm talking about the politics of the business, because I think that's why she walked away.
I think it's the politics of the business. I think it was also initially the story was she wrote, produced, and like played all the instruments.
And that's not true.
And that's just not true. And I think she did not trust the apparatus of creating music the way an artist usually would after winning 5 or 6 Grammys. I think when that all came out, she wanted to be like written, produced, directed by Lauryn Hill.
You want to be Stevie.
Yeah. And that turned out not to shout out to Newark and all you cats that really, put in work on that album. But that doesn't make the album less incredible. But I don't think that she wanted to participate in the collaborative effort that maybe would have created a follow-up to that album.
That would be my only thing, is like, I don't know if she would be able to. I mean, Robert Glasper has talked about this extensively. And, I don't know. I'm very curious. To me, it does put a little bit of an asterisk there. But, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that she deserves the,
There's definitely an asterisk for me. Just because, yes, that was a great album, a great body of work, but I never got to see, to test to see if it was a fluke. We never got a sophomore jinx or nothing. The Fugees album, or the Score, their most critically acclaimed album, I attribute a lot of that to Wyclef, as far as production and the soundscapes of all of that. Not to say that she didn't do her thing on that, because she did. She shined.
Yep.
She shined on Miseducation, but it's a lot of the allure of that project has been stripped away from me, being that I've heard from Robert Glasper, which somebody that I hold in very high esteem. Not to say that she's not great. That's not a great body of work. But I don't know. Only reason I'll give her an icon because she has plenty of children out here. There's a lot of people that want to be. We've seen a lot of artists that have followed suit in the same. They've walked in the steps. Yeah, they walked in the steps of Lauryn Hill.
Like, I think she really kicked for her to be the first female artist to win Hip Hop Album of the Year, to win Album of the Year. For her to take it to that level.
I think those pieces specifically.
Those specific pieces. And the thing is, like, as a group, we've been very critical of the Grammys, but we can say, well, that's definitely a year they got that right.
Sure.
And when I see, it kind of put it all together for me when I see SZA and Doechii on stage together playing tribute. I was like, if there's ever been an example, it was like, yep, those are her kids.
I will say,
stylistically and artistically.
Tara, I'll let you jump in here, but like I will real quick, because I mentioned Robert Glasper, and I just wanted to say what he actually said. So he said on Miseducation, he claimed that the album was made by musicians and producers who did not receive proper credit, stating the one thing that, this is a quote, the one thing that you did that was great, you didn't do, and alleging that she stole all my friends' music. So that's the asterisk that I was particularly speaking on, which is, again, her like opus, right? So anyways.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is another one of these situations where I can see it both ways. I can see how people are upset. because they seen the greatness in a Lauryn Hill. They're not saying that she's not great. They're saying that what you provided to the music industry, I wanted more. It's like you left me wanting more from you. And for that, I can't say that you're an icon because you didn't give me enough iconic status when it comes to material. But in the same token, what she did give us, whether it was those albums with the Fugees or her personal album, Miseducation, Lauryn Hill, or her features,
Sure.
Lauryn has not missed, essentially. I understand with the Unplugged album, how people feel about that. I wasn't a huge Unplugged album fan. When I think about an artist that came from that same era and continued making music, I think of an Erykah Badu, because she lent as much influence to the same generation of people that a Lauryn Hill would have as well, but she continued to make music.
She just didn't have the initial iconic thing that Miseducation had.
She did though.
She did, but the
Baduism is just as good as album to me.
Maybe
but
musically.
you have to realize that that's coming from a cultural point.
Yeah.
Miseducation crossed over.
Yeah.
Miseducation was received well on both sides of the tracks, essentially.
And, and to everything that Jay said.
Yeah,
you know,
remember Miseducation, like Lauryn was on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Yes, she was on the cover of Rolling Stone. She
It
took
just
home all of
had
those
a better
awards.
machine behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a better machine, but like leading up to that, people were familiar with Lauryn Hill also
from the Fugees
or
from
from
Sister
Act 2.
Remember, she came before, she came off of an album that sold like 13 million copies worldwide.
Yes.
So it's kind of hard to, Baduism is Erykah's first situation.
And it also wasn't received by people that weren't checking for that style of music at the time. Whereas a Lauryn Hill had already crossed over, and she gave you an album that didn't have any skips, and it was soulful. It had raps on it. It sounded very good melodically, sonically. It pretty much checked off every box, just not in a J. Cole type of way. Shout out to Lauryn, because he talks about checking off boxes. But the way she did it was immaculate. It's like you couldn't have asked for a better album at that
Flawless
time.
execution.
The only thing at the time I even wanted, I just wanted more raps. That was the only thing. That was my only criticism of that album, because I thought, okay, I'm gonna get a rap album from Lauryn Hill, and like at the first, I didn't. There's a record I didn't. The one that had kind of the RZA sample in it. I can't even remember the name of it. I love it now, but at the time I didn't want to hear about how like this ain't working. And
X Factor.
I don't know why I couldn't think of that. But yeah, I didn't want to hear that record.
Reciprocity.
Yeah, first of all, shout out to everybody who started using reciprocity after they heard that record.
Sounds like a roots word. Sounds like something
but
Tariq Trotter would say.
Yeah, but once again, I like that record, that particular song, so much better now than I did when I first heard it. But also, I'm older. I've been through
experiences,
different things with the opposite sex. It made me think, okay, there's probably somebody who feels this way about me. And I'm sorry.
And then that kind of goes with the iconic standpoint too, because like when you create a body of work that's good for that time, and it still sounds just as good and relatable to this time, that's iconic in itself. And I know a part of the reason that she stepped away too was family situation. She had kids to raise. She raised some talented children. I think her son sang on the Bob Marley soundtrack, I believe. Dope song. And she married into a very successful music family. So her offspring, so to speak, possessed that as well.
Not sure if they got married, but they were together.
Yeah, they were.
No, I mean, hey,
her kids got
the
Marley last name.
The Marley,
that.
Shout out. Shout out to Rohan. University of Miami, all that.
We heard X Factor, so who knows what she was going through at that time? I mean,
it's also kind of like an impossible standard that we're trying to give people here. It's just like, man, you're not an icon enough. It's like, it's like from one perspective, it's kind of stupid to think about.
Even if she bombed though, like she dropped some heat, and then it was just like, that's it. You might see me at a concert, and you might not. If I show up, I might be late. You're gonna enjoy yourself.
It's wild though, man, because those are the same people that are discredit like 3,000.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because he's never gave you a solo body of work.
Yeah.
But he did.
Yeah. The Love Below.
His half of
Yeah.
Idlewild.
Yeah. His half of all of his verses, man.
Yeah, Idlewild. Yeah, I mean, he did have some solo joints on that, but I just don't hold Idlewild to a.
It's not. But it's some good stuff on there, though.
Yeah, it is.
She might be one, though. I think Lauryn Hill might be one of the greatest what ifs, you know.
The what if, one of the what ifs that
Hip-hop,
doesn't care.
You know, and
Yeah, I don't even
you
think
know.
she cares.
Yeah. Good for
I
her.
guarantee you she doesn't.
Yeah.
Good for her.
And I think that had a lot to do with her speech at the BET Awards, because she talked about how she's doing things that you don't see, and I do this for us, so to speak, and I made this for us and for you. And, you know what I'm saying? Saying that she was raised by both of her parents, and now she does this for her parents and things of that nature, which is, you know what I'm saying, in itself, when you talk about hip hop, a lot of people don't talk about being raised by both of their parents and being successful in the field. So, yeah, shout out to her and her situation.
Yeah.
Whether you want to call her an icon or not.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've had, you know, I've actually had this conversation with some people, and I have the conversation kind of jokingly when people are super Lauryn Hill fans. I just like to push the buttons and say, well, she only did this. You know what I'm saying? But in the same token, I can't ever say that what she did wasn't great.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
Well, you know, you really want to get one of those Lauryn Hill fans super mad.
Just say, throw down that box.
Throw that too. And tell them that, honestly, the carnival is better.
Oh,
yeah, that's just being mean. No,
And
Carnival
just
wasn't.
lying.
Carnival was fantastic.
Yeah, Carnival wasn't a bad album, but it wasn't better than Miseducation. Can't say that. Episode 492 of the New Old Heads podcast. We appreciate you checking us out and the support. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Check out our Patreon, which is a $5 holla, or you can join for free to get the unedited version of the video. And until next time, see you in the comments. Peace.
Yeah.
Bye.